Okay, guys, so that covers kind of structuring the phases for physique, body composition related goals. So now getting into more performance related goals. So this is going to be athletes, whether that's team sports, field, court, or whether that's strength athletes, powerlifters, strongman, CrossFit, all that sort of thing, where your ultimate long term goal is not necessarily body composition related, although there will be periods where it will be beneficial to focus on body composition. So, when it comes to performance, whether you're a legitimate competitor or even if you're somebody who's just training as if you were one, you've got primarily performance related goals, we want to kind of break things up into off season, in season, competitive season, and then a kind of, post season phase here. So, off season, this is going to be our opportunity to improve body composition, right? And that's going to be, as we just discussed, fat loss or muscle gain. Now, in season, that's not the time where we want to be actively trying to drive changes in our body and our physiology via nutrition. Like, I don't want to have a football player in season where they're tracking all their food and we're trying to have them, certainly not having them in a deficit, right? Can someone go into a gain phase in season? If you're a power lifter or a strongman competitor, you don't have a weight class to make, you can do that. But for most team sport athletes, we don't want them to be bogged down with a surplus where oftentimes they may feel a little bit overloaded. That surplus of food, it doesn't necessarily feel great running around on the field and the court where you got to be just performing at your best. We want to kind of get the hay in the barn during the off season as it pertains to body composition so we can just fuel training and performance and practice in season. So in your off season period, we're not going to have the 16 to 20 weeks that we do if we've just got the whole year to focus on body composition. So we're going to be looking at a little bit more of a consolidated period of time. But at the same token, your typical athlete isn't going to have to get shredded lean. Like, if you're an offensive lineman for football, we don't need to get you down to 12% body fat. Like, we still want you to be a big dude, a 300-pound plus dude. And if you're playing in season at 18, 19% body fat, hey, that's fine. But if you're a guy who's like 25% body fat, then let's take this off season period to focus on your body composition. This is the time of your year where we can do this. Or if you're an athlete who you're a little bit undersized, you need to gain weight for your sport, or you want to bump up a weight class in wrestling or powerlifting or whatever it is, then this off-season period is a great time to go into surplus mode. And again, as we said, when you're in a surplus, you might feel a little bit bogged down. You might feel a little bit sluggish because you're having to eat a bunch of food. Digestion may be a little bit taxed. So again, it's not necessarily something we want when you're trying to perform at your best. But in the off season, this is our time to do it. And if you want to improve in terms of your physical development over the course of your athletic career, improving your body composition is going to be a great tool, right? Carrying less body fat and carrying more lean tissue, it's going to allow you to be more durable, less injury prone. It's going to allow you to produce more force. If you're leaner, your recovery is going to be better, your conditioning is going to be better, your work capacity, your recovery capabilities are all going to be better. So, going into your off season as an athlete, you should ask yourself, would it benefit me to improve my body composition in one direction or another? And we can then kind of go into a little bit of a consolidated version of the fat loss diet or the muscle gain phase, right? Where we're going into surplus mode, going into deficit mode. We do a food journal, we get a sense of our intake, we try to, bump things up a little bit, try to decrease things a little bit and pull off some weight or gain some weight, right? Now, once we get into in season, we get into training camp, we get into our competition season of the year. Right now, this is not the time to be tracking calories. This is where we kind of get into that more art of nutrition, where it's a lot more based on your subjective feedback and how do you feel. So when it comes to performance fuel, we want to be eating enough to adequately fuel and optimize performance in practice and in games. And, this is kind of where we can use a little bit of that, training day versus non-training day thought process where on practice days and game days, we're going to get more carbohydrates, especially, before practice, especially before the game. Maybe, the day before the game, maybe we're doing a little bit of a carb load, right? Getting our glycogen stores full and topped off. Um, and then on our non-practice days or off days, maybe we kind of reduce the carbs a little bit. But for the most part, I really want to focus on quality nutrient intake, right? So we're going to have the system functioning at a very high level when our electrolyte intake is dialed in. Okay, our potassium, our sodium, our magnesium, when our micronutrient diversity is very high. Okay, we're getting in fruits and vegetables and just quality food sources, right? If we're just putting in crap food into the system in season, our recovery is going to suck. Our inflammation is going to be high. We want to keep inflammation low in season. So, unfortunately, a lot of athletes, and I was guilty of this as a player, your mental stress is very high. And what do we do when we're mentally stressed? We tend to comfort eat, right? So,
I was gonna say even like, I mean, hey, you probably your share fair of pasta nights, right? Like with sports and stuff. And not saying I'm not demonizing pasta, but what all comes along with those, and you're trying to like higher quality. It's like now looking back, you're like, maybe we make a little bit of adjustment there to perform a little bit better.
yeah, I mean, I was guilty of it. I would have a big practice. I'd get home back to my dorm and it was Chinese takeout.
Yeah.
That was my comfort food. And it's comforting in the moment, but man, you will feel so much mentally and emotionally better when your food intake is very high quality. Okay. Our mental fortitude, our mental clarity, our emotions, anxiety levels are very tied to our gut health. Okay, they call our gut our second brain.
Right.
And if we're just eating processed fried foods, hot, greasy foods, our gut health is going to be way off, and that's going to manifest in brain fog. It's going to manifest in diminished mental clarity. It's going to manifest in emotional fallout, right? But when we optimize our gut health, and some things I like to do is number one, make sure your digestion is good. You're eating foods that digest well, that aren't leaving you bloated. I like to include high fiber into our diet. That's going to be a tremendous benefit to our gut health. So that's going to be fruits, vegetables, starches like potatoes, things like that. I like to include some fermented foods. So kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, Greek yogurt. These are all great things to incorporate into our diet that are going to help promote a diverse gut microbiome, which is just going to manifest itself across the system as a whole. I want to make sure our diet is anti-inflammatory. So when it comes to a super high sugars, the really processed foods, just the common sense junk foods, that's going to lead to high inflammation in the body. Our joints are not going to feel great. Our recovery post game, post practice is going to be lower. Our mental clarity and focus is going to be diminished. So I really like to put a big premium on the food selections themselves, not so much the macros and the calories. Let's make sure we're eating enough that we feel fueled for practice and games. We're not losing weight, right? We're not excessively gaining weight, but let's really put a bigger premium on the quality of food. And I think that's hugely important. The other thing is going to be hydration. I think this is a really unsexy topic to talk about. Like everyone hears, oh, you need to hydrate more, better electrolyte intake. Everyone knows that. They kind of nod their head. Yeah, 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 I got it. Very few people actually follow through with that, right? Very few people are truly consuming enough fluids in conjunction with adequate potassium intake. Most people are drastically under consuming potassium, right? Everyone associates potassium with bananas. You can get potassium from a lot of great sources. Potatoes, spinach, Greek yogurt, lean meat are all going to be really high in potassium. You can directly supplement with potassium. I like a product, it's called No Salt, or there's another product, Heart Salt, where it's literally like a salt shaker, but it's filled with potassium chloride. And you just sprinkle that over your food. You give a few twists of pink salt on your food, give a shake of the potassium salt on your food. Great way to bump your potassium intake up. I like to use a little hack, tomato paste. So you go to the grocery store to the canned goods aisle, tomato paste, not to be confused with ketchup or tomato sauce, but it's a concentrated paste where it's going to be a ton of potassium, just 1 tablespoon, a ton of other micronutrients. And it tastes really good. It tastes like a kind of a potent marinara sauce.
Okay.
Good little change up to add to your foods. So really focusing on potassium intake, which is going to allow you to keep your sodium intake higher, right? Sodium has kind of been demonized as having like negative implications toward blood pressure and cardiovascular health. Sodium's not the problem. It's not an overconsumption of sodium. It's an underconsumption of potassium and an underconsumption of fluid intake. You want to drastically, acutely improve your performance, optimize your fluid, sodium, and potassium intake. You want to drastically tank your performance, then don't consume enough fluid, overconsume sodium, and don't consume enough potassium.
And what would you say would be symptoms that people would be feeling if they were super deficient in their hydration and the potassium and sodium?
Cramping is going to be a big one. And then a lot of times, if you just feel like you're dragging ass in training, you're dragging ass in practice or the weight room, and you look back on, I slept fine. I ate enough food, but for whatever reason, I just am not able to produce as much output as normal. Oftentimes you can trace that back to an electrolyte deficiency or just a fluid deficiency. I've seen it time and time again where we really dial in the fluids and electrolytes, and athletes feel like an entirely different human
Yeah.
when they're practicing and when they're training. So that's something to really monitor and stay on top of, just in conjunction with high quality food sources. Kill it, pick it, grow it foods, like we talked about in part one of the video, right? You can hunt it, kill it, grow it in a tree, or pick it out of a tree, grow it in the ground. Probably going to be good to go. Incorporating a diversity of fruits, vegetables, carb sources that are going to digest well. Like, some people don't digest potatoes very well, right? If you're eating a bunch of sweet potatoes and you're getting bloated and gassy, that's not a great food source for you.
Right.
No problem. Let's go to a white rice or a quinoa or an oatmeal or even some sourdough bread, things like that. So that's our in-season period. And then postseason, this is kind of sort of parallels that maintenance phase, in the physique structure of things where, okay, we just capped off, season's over. Now we're going to kind of recover and chill. And if you're a team sport athlete, you just went through, whatever it is, 12, 16 games. Chances are your inflammation's really high. Your body's probably beat up. You probably got some nagging injuries, wear and tear. Your first week, 2 weeks postseason, this is actually a really good time to go low carb.
Okay.
Why? Because it's going to be more anti-inflammatory. So I'll actually have some athletes, like when I'm working with an NFL guy, when the season ends, if they're a guy who's really beat up, they've got a ton of inflammation, they got tons of reps over the season, and their joints just feel awful, I'll put them on a keto diet for 1 to 2 weeks. And you very rarely will hear me, advocating for a ketogenic diet, but just getting them really low carb for a couple weeks, they're going to drop a ton of water, a bunch of inflammation. The joints are going to feel a lot better. And then we can kind of segue into that much more flexible, hey, let's enjoy life, let's enjoy eating, go on your vacation, chill out a little bit. Now, if you're a guy who you're not particularly beat up, maybe you didn't play a whole lot, or for whatever reason, you feel pretty fresh. This is the time where you can go into have a little bit of fun, enjoy some of that good food, celebrate a little bit.
Yeah.
This is that, maintenance period of time. And then we go back into off-season mode, and then it's time to ask her a question. What does my body composition need? Am I guy needs to gain weight? Do I need to add muscle mass? Do I need to lose body fat? And then we repeat this process. So
Beautiful. I think one for me, I've learned a couple of really awesome golden tidbits, which is phenomenal. So during this whole video, obviously on his channel, I am the student and I'm just trying to grow my knowledge bank, and it's making a lot more sense. With that being said, it gets exciting. Like, you sit there and instead of it being a daunting process and getting paralysis by analysis, or you're thinking two extremes, right? Of either I'm just in a fat loss phase or a gain phase. It's like now we have way more pieces to the puzzle to make a really cool picture. And on top of that, one thing that I love about how you're going over this is we didn't demonize anything, right? Like, I think everything is right tool, right job.
Yeah.
And even you're talking about inflammation, there's a time where inflammation is good and then it's kind of built in. There's a time where we want to reduce, like you're saying, postseason, hey, let's drop that inflammation. All we need to do is look at our bank of tools, pull that out of the drawer, implement it, and it makes it so much more of a seamless process than we just have everything dumped all over the floor. Crap, how are we going to fix this mess?
Exactly. And just on that point of kind of demonization, I think people tend to look at nutrition in too much of a binary lens. It's black and white. It's healthy, it's unhealthy. Are carbs good? Are carbs bad? Is this food good? Is this food bad? It's like, don't evaluate any one individual variable like that. Take a step back, look at the whole big picture, and just say, hey, that's a piece of the puzzle. Where does that fit in that puzzle? It's like a cheeseburger. Is a cheeseburger bad? Well, it's like if I'm in the midst of a fat loss diet, it's not a refeed day, then yeah, we shouldn't be eating a cheeseburger. But hey, it's maintenance mode where this is the time to enjoy some food.
Yeah.
Food's a great thing, man. If you're living a life without enjoying some of the cheeseburgers and pizza and greasy, delicious food out there, you're missing out on life. There's a time and a place for it, right? Date night with your wife is an opportunity to connect with people, the holidays, whatever. There's a place in the puzzle for that particular piece. Carbs, are carbs good? Are carbs bad? Well, I don't know. Like, do we need to leverage carbohydrates right now? Are we trying to fuel performance? Are we trying to drive physical output? Then no, carbs are not bad. We need the carbs. Are we in a period of time where, physical output's really low? Maybe we're in like a rehab setting. We're not training. We're laid up. Well, probably not a good time to be hammering a ton of carbohydrates. Well, is bread bad? There's no goods. There's no bads in this. Like you said, it's all about big picture context.
I think that's what's great about, us connecting is everybody wants us to, or not wants us, but they're more favorable in a dogmatic approach and having conviction in something. When my thing is, and it's not the sexy answer, is it depends. Exactly. Right. Everybody's like, what do you think of this versus this? It depends. Should I do this or that? It depends. And they want you to say, hey, this is exactly what you should do and why and everything else. But that's not how this works. And I think we can beat the dead horse, but I really feel like a lot of people need to adopt that mindset if they truly want long-term sustainable progress.
Yeah.
Right. But no, this is great, man. I think the viewers that if you guys are listening to this kind of series back and forth, my channel, his channel, and following along, taking notes, you're setting yourself up with a great blueprint that's just going to simplify everything so much.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you made it this far, I appreciate you guys as always. If you haven't, go back, watch part one on Joey's channel. Stay tuned. We're both going to have more content coming out. We just wrapped up a full day of training that we got after together with an IFBB Pro out here in an undisclosed location. We'll reveal that maybe eventually. But anyway, guys, stay tuned. Subscribe to both channels, and we've got a lot of great content coming your way.
Let's go.